Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Talk Amongst Yourselves. My name is Tanaka Mundwa, and new location, new levels, new devils. Hey, new man with this. Still the same show though, where we talk sports and all that fun stuff. Listen, before we get into everything though, this video is sponsored by, throw it to myself, YGFR. Go over to YGFR for all your satin needs. Hey, they do do-rags, bonnets, and all that kind of fun stuff. Oh, and also satin pillowcases as well. I've been sleeping on these, and I won't lie, life is looking better ever since. So do yourself that favor, www.ygfr.co.za. All right, that sponsorship aside, let's talk about the show. I sound this way because I'm at peace. All right, have you ever had a silk pillow on your face, Cash? Have you ever satin pillow on your face?
Yes, I have.
You have?
Every night.
Every night. So you know what I'm going through.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm experiencing. All right, so today, quite excited for the show. We have all the way from America, Houston, Shaun Maswanganyi, as the Americans have put it, Shaun Maswanganyi, talking to us about all the great stuff he's doing in track and field at the moment. He is the brightest young thing making all the waves, and he's on the show today to tell us, just about his transition into America, all the fun stuff he's been doing, and looking forward to the Olympics. As I said, recently qualified for the 100 and the 200, and it's going to be crazy because this is post-boat era, right? Christian Coleman, for his offenses, won't be at the Olympics. He was probably the front runner or the next guy, right? So there's definitely a hole there. And Shaun is probably looking to be the one to step up and fill that hole. So yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's hear from the man himself. You can remember to get in the comment section and talk amongst yourselves. Hey Shaun, what's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm well, thanks, and yourself.
Oh, good, man. Good to talk to you out there in Houston. First and foremost, how the routes and American pronunciations treating you?
It's been well. It's been a changing experience. It was a little bit hard adapting, especially coming in, during COVID, and kind of having to figure out everything for myself because a lot of like the people in the team, for example, weren't on campus, and just coming in as a freshman and having to figure out a lot of stuff like for yourself in a new country can be quite overwhelming. So for me to be able to, have the people around me, thank God my coach, and some of my teammates already that were like staying in my like res apartment, like they welcomed me. I remember the first day I got here, it was quite a mess. I actually spoke about it on my YouTube channel where, immigration was giving me issues from, having the right documents and, allowing me to pass, having to forward in like submit some documents like a couple of days later. So it was a little bit overwhelming coming in at first, and mentally it kind of drained me, and the fact that I also still had school to worry about, and then I had to start training. So for the beginning part, the first couple of weeks were a little bit tough, but I always say that I know myself and I know that I'm able to adapt to a lot of environments quickly. So within the next couple of weeks after like moving into Houston, I found myself in a good space. I had my circle of like, people I'm gonna hang around with. I already pretty much figured out my way around campus, what I need to do like around the track and with my academics. And ever since then, it's been a smooth road. I mean, there've been some hiccups, but so far so good.
Bro, the one thing I noticed about you, I noticed that you use full name, second name, surname, everything in there. And I mean, it's a mouthful. And I hear the Americans say it, and they kind of struggle through it. It's a Shaun Maswanganyi, Patutshedzo. I mean, was that deliberate, that decision to kind of say, I don't know if there was a feeling of like, let me remain true to myself. And not, we all kind of took up nicknames at some extent, right? Like at some point I was a TJ. I'm sure we've all gone through the nickname phase to accommodate other people, but it doesn't seem like you're making such concessions.
I mean, for the most part, me and Carl spoke about that because, your name is part of a huge brand and it's part of marketing. So with me, I was kind of focused on, okay, anyways, before people knew me as Patutshedzo, they knew me as Shaun, because like my dad's side of the family called me Shaun. Like growing up, I was Shaun, and then after that, like I don't know, when I started living with my mom, that's when I started going as Patutshedzo. Even though Patutshedzo is my first name and Shaun is my middle name, but when I remember when I switched schools, I was going to a school in Lenasia, which is like in Soweto. So I was going to a school there, and then after like there, they started calling me Patutshedzo, and then pretty much it like became a pattern. And then after that, I got used to Patutshedzo again. And when I got to high school, I was actually planning to change my name to Shaun because like too many people was messing up my first name. Like, and I was kind of getting annoyed. I mean, it gets annoying when people just butcher your name all the
It
time.
does.
So I'm
Yeah,
like,
it does.
can I just go with Shaun? And then my mom, I don't know, my mom talked me out of it. She's like, no, no. You should, still keep using Patutshedzo. I'm like, Mom, these people can't pronounce that, and I'm going to like a white school, so like it's even worse. And like even then, I mean, people will say like I'll say half my name, just say half my name, Patu. They'll still mess that up, or Chedzo, but they'll still mess that up. So I'm like, Shaun is like easy to like. They'll mess up the spelling probably because those, but probably think SEAN. But I'd rather have them mess up spelling, but like pronunciation, they'll be right. But then, she talked me out of that, and then I used Patutshedzo the whole of high school, and then pretty much like in my matric year, that's when I was like, okay, no. When I spoke to Coach Carl, he said, marketing is marketing. Your name is makes you what you are. So even like Carl himself, his name is not Carl Lewis. His name is Frederick Carlton Lewis. But everywhere you go on Google, if you just search Carl Lewis, you'll see it says Carl Lewis, and then it'll say Frederick Carlton Lewis.
And I hear you. So there was some decision there in terms of switching things up. I thought it was the other way around almost. I thought maybe you went there and were like, you know what, I'm gonna put the African in this situation and kind of keep it that way. But it makes sense ultimately. We've seen it throughout the years. I mean, you also have to say a name that could be top of people's minds. Let's talk about. I mean, there's so much to talk about, Shaun. You've been doing amazing work out in America. It wasn't too long ago that you were running here in South Africa. So quickly, the decision to move to America. What informed that decision? Because I know there were options for you there. There was Europe that was open for you somewhere in Europe, but ultimately you chose America. Just take us through that.
So basically, I kind of saw the opportunity. I saw it as a risk-reward ratio type at first, like a type of an opportunity, because I knew that coming to the States, it's a big place, and there's a lot of money to be made, especially in track and field. It's pretty much the mecca of track and field. If you want to make it in track and field, you'd want to be in the States. And also I was thinking about college-wise, because I am, I'm still pretty much an academic. Like I consider myself more of a scholar than an athlete for the longest part of my life. And I believe in getting a degree. I don't believe you need to get a degree to make it, but like I believe that it does build a good foundation and that it can play a role in your life. So I'm mostly interested in business, and I knew that America is the home of entrepreneurs. Basically, this is where money is made. So I knew that degree wise, if I were to go into sports, which is something I love, as well as studying a degree which will interest me, I have the best opportunities in the States, because I know if I was attending like any regular university in South Africa, it would be a lot tougher to manage a business degree while like juggling with sports, because there aren't many support systems in place in those universities, which is quite tough. So I've noticed like a lot of athletes study, sports science, et cetera. And for me, that's not the degree I want. That's not the degree that fits in with my vision or with my goal in life. So I know that in order for me to really make this work, I think the States is the best option. I made this decision around about mid-matric, but mid-matric, like around about June, July. I remember I had not even applied for South African university by then. My mom was just saying, you must apply. I only started applying because she told me to apply. But other than that, I was not going to apply, because I knew that, there was like a lot of controversy with certain universities and scholarships and so forth. So I didn't want to be part of that drama. And I knew that me being, coming in as like a top recruit, there could be like a lot of complications, especially in my home country. So I said, okay, I'll just take myself out of the situation. I need to, focus on myself. I don't want to have a lot of stress. So then that's why I decided to start reaching out to the States, and I'm glad I found my feet here.
Yeah, and I mean, look, you've definitely found your feet, man, and you've done a lot more than that, to tell the truth. And we, of course, Olympic qualifying, that's what everybody's talking about, right? When they talk about you, Shaun, it's the fact that you're going to the Olympics, but there is so much good work that had to come before that. And I suppose that's what I want to speak to, your whole deciding to go with track and field. At what point as an athlete do you realize that you have something special? Yeah, like we all kind of did some stuff at varsity. And I'm wondering what that point was for you, where you saw that, this is something I could take the whole way. I was in high school, played a bit of rugby, played a bit of soccer, not prolific at either, but definitely at that time, I think my skill set was disproportionate in my mind to what was actually in reality. Others tried and failed, and that's the truth. But then there's guys like you who go all the way. Is it a conversation you had? Was it you by yourself who thought this is something you can take all the way? Because just being really fast in high school, as you know, is not enough sometimes. Some people just fast in high school, and that's where it ends.
So essentially, I always knew I was fast. Every other sport I did, I was always recognized with my speed. So when I remember the first time I ran a track meet in inverted commas was that school I was going to in Indonesia, and I remember we'd run these inter-house races basically, and then I'd win, and everyone would go crazy, and I'm just like, for me it was just normal. I was racing everyone, I was beating them. Even the guys were like older than me. So I remember when I went to Crawford didn't have athletics. So when I remember like when I played cricket and soccer, pretty much I was like a top scorer, like I was a top goal scorer in soccer because, I was a tap-in striker. I was very efficient when it came to, giving the through ball. I'd run, catch it, place it in. So for the most part, I always knew that I had a talent, Now I wouldn't say talent, I had talents because pretty much every sport I did, I went the whole way. I either made provincials or I'd even go as far as like nationals. I think when I was 15, that's when my coach, because my coach tried to reach out, the athletics coach for my school, he ended up becoming like a father figure towards me. And like when we started off, he was like, no, you must come to track. I believe in your talents and whatnot. Because he saw me dunk. Like literally at 13, 14, I was like dunking with ease, So he was like, oh, okay, this kid is really athletic and he's really fast. And I've seen what he does in the rugby field. I've seen what he does on the basketball court. I've seen what he does in soccer. So, he's the real deal. So he kept telling me that. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, coach, you're not the first person to tell me they can make me a superstar. Like every other coach tells me the same thing. I'm just, it's not music to my ears because I hear it all the time. So it took me a while for me to like, okay, let me take him serious. So then Inter-House came, I won everything. And I lost this one race. I lost the 200 because I fell. And then I remember that day like it was yesterday because like everyone was so hyped to see me run, and like pretty much everyone is gathered around like the whole like track, and they're waiting to see me run because they've been hearing like all this about me and stuff like that. So the 200 came, and like it was one of those cross fields, drawn on, with lines and stuff. So it's not really true to scale, and obviously the turns, etc., they'll be a little bit too sharp. So yeah, I mean, it's what we had. So it's what it's what I knew. So I ran, But then obviously those type of things are fake. And then I fell in that race. But then I came back in the 100. I came back in other events, and I won. And pretty much everyone applauded me for that. And then I lost this one race at Inter High against an Afis boy who actually won nationals that year. And he was like a year older than me, but like he in that race he demolished me. So then that kind of did something to my, I would say my big head, because I had a big head back then, and I was like, no, I can't go out like that, because that was on video and it was posted everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So I knew, I'm like, okay, I need to get better. There's only one way to get better, is to start training. So then I started going into athletics, and my coach sat me down one day. He's like, one day I'm gonna make you a superstar. I was looking at him, I'm like, coach, I've heard that too many times. Then he's like, listen, you're gonna win nationals. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, you're gonna win SA champs. I'm like, okay, shout, coach. Let's not get excited. Let's just start first and let's see how it goes. Because I didn't understand. By then, I didn't understand what marks I must hit or whatever, like to win. And then I remember, like, literally, this was like October, November-ish of 2015, and nationals was in March, April, like the following year. So it was like literally less than 5 months, like 5 months away. So I started getting to training. I sacrificed like my December, and since 2015, I've not had a December. Literally all those December, like every December since 2015, I've been training throughout pretty much 20 and 25 days out of the 31 days of the year, like, of that month. So I remember we got into it, and then I started doing athletics. Like the first term, I'll play a few basketball games and a tournament here and there, but I was not like a regular now in basketball. I was pretty much practicing basketball like once a week, maybe twice, but I was still in the team. And then, that year I won nationals. I won the long jump, I won the long jump, which he told me I would do, and then I came third in the 100, and then my relay won. Since then, my athletics career took off.
Wow, dog, that's brilliant, and I think it says something about that old adage about some men being born great and some men having like greatness thrust upon them. It's your story is, I suppose, the latter of the two. It was a combination of two things, and I think it's great that there are people who believed in you, and now you're here. What is your when you sit back and think about greatness, because you're on the cusp of it, right? Like you're on the cusp of being the next global superstar, right? You're right there, because you've qualified for the Olympics and everything that you've done in the build up to that. When you sit back and think about greatness, what does that mean to you? And how do you see yourself fitting in terms of forging your name as one of the greats to ever do it?
I mean, when I think of greatness, I don't think just sports alone. I think it's just about like who you are as a person, and what you do, not only for your sport, but outside your sport. So I know that as a person, people always tell me I have a warm personality. People always want to be around me. And I feel like it's things like that that lead towards being a great person or a great athlete. So I know that, for the most part, when I was in like high school, we did a lot of charity events. We did a lot of community service events. So I know like it's more things like that also add to greatness. And I mean, I can be as fast as I want. I can break world records, but if my personality doesn't match what I'm doing, on the track, and it's not even like you're forcing a personality, but it's kind of like who you really are, where you really come from, like recognizing where you come from, recognizing your struggle, acknowledging other people's struggles and where they're going, and always be willing to help other people. It plays a role in greatness, and I feel like it's something that's been, blessed upon me. Because it's amazing when I look back. I remember my mom and I were on the phone call, we were crying literally just the other month, because when my grandmother passed away, the weekend she passed away, like the Friday, she called me and she was having like a deep conversation with me, and I was wondering like why is she deep? Like normally she's all funny, jolly, and so it was a deep conversation, and she was telling me how great I'll be, and how I'll represent my country one day, and how I'll be a global superstar. And I kid you not, this happened in 2014. I remember the day. It was the 3rd of September 2014, and that was before I even did track. I didn't think I was even going to do track. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do in high school. I just said I'm just going to do sports and figure everything out later, So it was kind of like the destiny she brought upon me. She kind of gave me that blessing, and for me to look back and to see how everything unfolded, everything the way she said it in her prayer, the way we spoke, and how everything is unraveling a couple of years later. I always say, it has to be God, because I believe in faith and I believe in a God. And things like this, destiny always prevails. I always say destiny always prevails. So it's amazing for me to just witness how everything is unfolding in front of me, especially when I realize like the hard work I put in, the blood, sweat, tears, the people who have been supporting me, like people who've just always been in my corner. So it's always, I would say it's a blessing, and it's amazing. Every time I just wake up and I realize I'm like, there are so many people who support me, and I'm grateful for that.
Real quick, this is something I've always wondered. In a sport where there are 3 medals, all right? There are 3 people who stand on the podium. How do you define winning and losing? Like to you, because we're used to number 1 being the winner and everyone else is lost, right? But you could finish 3rd and technically still be a winner, That's always been a trick for me, yeah.
I mean, it boils down to what you really want and what you really want to achieve. Everyone has that winning mentality, but not everyone can win, obviously. They always say, to be a winner, you have to be born a winner. You can't force someone to be a winner. Because some people, they literally do sports their whole life, but they have no winning, compassion or whatever, because they just, I wouldn't say they don't care, but they don't enjoy what they're doing. They don't have that winning mindset towards that sport, for example. And for me, anything below first place is, for me, it's a loss. I remember indoor nationals. I went to indoor nationals earlier this year. Many people, indoor nationals is literally one of the hardest competitions to make it in the NCAA. Like, it's the hardest. Like, it's crazy because out of the whole nation, out of all 351 Division 1 colleges, I don't know how many athletes who do track and field, more especially sprints. Only 16. I think 16 are chosen. Yeah, 16. Like literally 16. Like 16 runners are chosen for each event indoors. So think about it that way. Like out of a whole country, out of the whole of Division 1, just to put it in perspective, my team has like 15 sprinters, like 15 guy sprinters, right? That's my team alone. But the whole of like Division 1 nationals, to qualify, you need to be top 16 in the country. Otherwise, you're not going. And you can think about there's like 351 colleges, so you already understand like the type of competition. And it's literally splits. Like one split will separate you from being 10th to maybe 15th or 16th. You know, so it's quite tough, but you know, it's situations like that you know, it forces you to be a winner. And I mean, I kind of bombed out on indoor nationals, but I knew I came back. I'm like, okay, outdoor season, you know, I need to clear my mind. I realized I made my mistakes. I've learned, lesson learned. Now it's really time to boss up and make sure that every race I go into, I'm going there with the intention to win. There's no race I want to go in and be half-hearted, be like, whatever happens. I need to make sure I win, because at the end of the day, you know, the brands, you know, the endorsements, they're gonna come. They mostly want the winner. You know, they want someone who wins. You know, you can be second, you still get like good endorsements and stuff like that, or third, or maybe fourth or fifth, especially in the Olympics. Just you get a good endorsement anyways if you top me in the final. But you know, the number one makes the money, the biggest money. You know, so it's a competitive world, but you know, in everything in life, it's competitive. You just need to chase for that number one spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, let's wrap it up here, man. I'm sure you've got all the congratulations that you need for qualifying, but I think it's still in order, man. Congratulations. It's a big deal. I don't suppose with everything that you've said, Shaun, I don't suppose you're going there just to make up numbers or take up space. You know, I think you're going there to be a bona fide contender for Olympic gold.
That's what I was telling.
Yeah, there's definitely a gap. There's a gap, bro. There's a little bit of a gap in the absence of Christian Coleman. I think the world is looking for the next after Bolt's retirement, you know, particularly at that Olympic level. So there's gaps there. There's obviously some contenders that have risen already. I know Lyles in particular in the 200. There are others to look out for in the 100 as well. What are your aspirations at the Olympics, man, when they roll around? What are you hoping to achieve? And what would, I suppose, signify a good competition for you?
I mean, for the Olympics, really is just to go out there and give it my all. You know, whatever happens, happens. You know, I'm not going to give myself marks to run, because I always say that, like, when it comes to running times, I always mentally, I know what times I'm capable of running. You know, I just never speak on it, but I prefer doing it. So I know, like, marks wise, I'm not too worried about the times I'm going to run. But it's like Olympics, I know, okay, I'm going to take it one race at a time, you know, focus on executing. Because I know if I execute, I'll make it to the next round. Execute again, I'll make it to the next round. And then execute again, I'll make it to the final, you know? So it's really just about me focusing on execution. And, you know, anything can happen in the finals. Literally anything can happen in the finals. There have been so many upsets in the finals, you know? So simple thing like World Championships 2017, you know, when Bolt lost. No, not 2017. 2017, yeah, 2017 London. That's when Bolt lost the 100 and he lost it to Coleman and Gatlin. So, you know, anything can happen in a 100 meter. Anything can happen in the 200 meter. It's not easy. It's not easy at that level, you know. And I'm still coming in and trying to adapt to that environment. You know, I've never ran in a stadium more than 10,000 people. I don't think I've ever ran in a stadium more than 10,000 people. Now, for me to be going into a competition where it's possibly going to be 80, 90,000 people, it's going to be overwhelming, you know. But I'm trusting myself I'm betting on myself to be able to adapt, you know, not to let the nerves get to me and handle my business and see where it goes.
Look, man, I think you're going to do great, honestly. And I will press you. The guy who asks questions in me would press you for times and be like, tell me the times. But I also appreciate the fact that you're playing it close to your chest, yeah? And that you know what you're capable of and you'll go out there and execute that. Firstly, I got to say lastly, I got to say shout out for even taking the call. You know, really, you could have been like, I'm all right. So that's really cool of you. And like I said, man, I think the world is kind of watching you, South Africa in particular, and the world soon will be put on notice about the great things that you're doing. And yeah, keep shining, man. Fingers crossed, man. I'm really hoping for a medal or something coming out of you, Shaun. You know, something, just a little something for the gang. You know what I mean? I think it's possible. Why not? You know, why not?
Yeah, why not? I always say why not. Yeah.
No, that's really dope.
I'm grateful.
Nah, thank you, man. And listen, You keep doing your thing out there. What's happening? Maybe you can just give me quickly like a schedule or timeline between now and the Olympics. What comes next?
So we have the NCAAs, which is in 8 days' time, which is obviously a marquee event for collegiate track and field and pretty much world athletics as well. Literally, out of world champs and diamond leagues and the Olympics, the NCAA is literally the next big meet. You know, if millions of people tune in for that, and you know, I'm looking to make my name be heard. You know, I'm coming in ranked at the second fastest time overall. Under Terence Laird, and you know, there's a lot of guys who are hungry. They are hungry for that title. Everyone wants it, you know. And then after the NCAA, I'm gonna take some time off. I'm gonna come back home and take some time off a little bit, but I'm still gonna be training back at home, probably at Tux. And then after that, I think the SA team is planning to either host some camps, and then after that, we're gonna go to Tokyo.
Bless, brother. That's all exciting when you get back. Like I said back in the day, jump pop. Hey, you know what it
Yes,
is.
Sir. Yes, sir.
You know the location.
I got you.
Listen,
I got you.
Nah, shout out Shaun, man. Listen, dope vibes. Thanks for chatting, my G.
Appreciate it. Thanks.